Hello, for lesson 4 today, we are going to be working on solving proportions with similar figures. Please make sure that you have everything you need, your notes, your headphones, and something to write with for this video. Our learning target today is I can set up and solve a proportion. The word proportion might be new to you, but I am guessing that once we get into the lesson, some things may start to look familiar. In our previous lesson, we learned that corresponding sides are proportional in similar figures. And what that means is that when we compare sides that match up or that correspond, they are going to form equivalent ratios. I'm going to show it to us with this example. So if we're comparing quadrilateral T and quadrilateral U, comparing those sides, if we have side 20 on quadrilateral T, that corresponds with side 32 in quadrilateral U, and then side that is 10 in T corresponds with the one that is 16 in quadrilateral U. And we can see that these are equivalent ratios. That means that the side lengths are proportional and that we have two similar figures. If ratios form a proportion like they do here, their cross products are equal. What that means is if you multiply the numbers that are across from each other, those will equal the same thing. So, for example here, this means that 20 times 16 equals 10 times 32. And we can check that. Okay, so that means that 300, we get 320 equals 320. That may seem pretty obvious right now, but that's going to be powerful in the next slide. We can use this idea of cross products to help us solve proportions. So here I have x over 20 equals 9 over 8. I am trying to figure out what x is, and I'm going to use this cross product idea to help me. So based on the cross products, I know that 20 times 9 is going to be equal to x times 8. So I'm going to write that out. I'm going to say 20 times 9 equals, I'm actually going to write, x times 8. So now I have to figure out what is x. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what is 20 times 9. 20 times 9 is 180. So now I have 180 equals 8x. I just changed how I wrote that, but that is the same thing. We're saying 8 times x equals 180. Now, my next step is to figure out what is x, right? So I'm saying 8 times something equals 180. If I'm trying to figure out what the something is when I am multiplying, I am going to divide to undo that multiplication. So I'm going to divide by 8 on both sides. So I'm dividing by 8. What I'm going to end up with is x equals 180 divided by 8. I am going to use a calculator. You can use a calculator. Okay, we get 22.5. You may be getting decimals now, okay? Just like we're not afraid of fractions, we are not going to be afraid of decimals. So our answer here is x equals 22.5. Finally, we're going to use this idea to help us find the missing sides on similar figures. So we know that the shapes are going to form a proportion, that the sides are going to form a proportion. So I'm going to set up a proportion. I want to compare x to y. So I'm going to do 30. The side that matches, that is 30 in x, is z in y. And then we have 5. And then 5 matches with 6. So now I'm going to set this up, and then I'm going to solve. So I'm going to do 30 times 6 equals 5z. That's our cross product idea. 30 times 6 is 180 equals 5z. I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides, and I'm going to use a calculator for this. 180 divided by 5 equals 36. So I get that 36 equals z. And we'll work more on how we can check to make sure our answer makes sense, but that will be your answer. Your next steps are the proportions and similar figures worksheet, If you want a challenge, there is an IXL for you to do, but I would suggest that you do the worksheet first. Good luck.